Hello, kids, and welcome to the Weekly Bridge. I'm your host, Pastor Scott. On today's episode of the Weekly Bridge, we're going to learn how sin entered the world, but it might be helpful to know what sin is. Sin is anything that I do, say, or think that is not pleasing to God. Now, it's so important for us to understand what sin is. I think I ought to repeat that for us. Sin is anything that I do, anything that I say, or anything that I think that is not pleasing to God. Now, let's break that down a little bit. First, sin is anything that I do that is not pleasing to God. So, do you think hitting your brother or sister would make God happy? No. Do you think taking a toy away from them when they were playing with it would make God happy? No again. Well, how about not sharing your toys with them if they wanted to play with you? Well, I don't think that would please God either. So hitting your brother or sister, taking toys away from them, or choosing not to share your toys with them would all be sin. Well, sin's not just something that I do that is not pleasing to God. Sin is anything that I say that is not pleasing to God. So do you think if you called your brother or sister a bad word or a name, do you think that would make God happy? Nope. Do you think that if you were to yell at your brother or sister, that would make God happy? No, that wouldn't make him happy either. So we know that using bad words and yelling, because they don't make God happy, are also sin. Sin is also anything that I simply think that is not pleasing to God. So what if all you did was wish bad things on your brother or sister? Just in your mind, not even doing them, but just thinking them. Well, that wouldn't make God happy either. So believe it or not, you can sin when you are just thinking something God wouldn't want you to think. Well, the Bible tells us that everyone sins. One verse in the Bible says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." That's found in Romans 3:23, and in a few minutes we're going to learn that verse together. Now, I'll bet you already know that you sin. You know you've done things that are not good, not pleasing to God. But how about your mom and dad? Have you ever thought, do they sin? Well, our Bible verse says they do because it says all have sinned. That includes mom and dad. And you know what? I know I sin, and more than I would want you or anyone else to know. Well, listen, I'm so glad you joined me for this episode of the Weekly Bridge. We've got some new music to sing, a Bible verse to learn, a great lesson, and a craft at the end I think you're going to really enjoy. Now, there's so much to do. We better get started, so come join me.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Patches O'Plenty. I'm here because Pastor Scott wanted me to teach you a new Bible memory verse. This one goes with this week's lesson about sin. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Romans 3:23. Now I wonder if you can say it with me. Let's try it. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And to help you remember our memory verse, I found a song to sing. Let's try it.
Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. For all have sinned and fall short. Romans 3:23.
Stories of the Bible. Adam and Eve's sin. This is Adam.
Hey.
And this is Eve.
Hi.
Who were the first people on earth. They lived in the Garden of Eden, which was a beautiful place that had everything they needed. Adam and Eve took care of the animals and could eat from any of the trees in the garden, except for one. This was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and God told them not to eat from this tree. There were lots of animals in the garden, but the serpent was the most clever of all the wild animals God had made. One day, he asked the woman,
Hey, Eve.
"Did God really say you must not eat the fruit from any of these trees in the garden?"
No.
Eve said that they were able to eat from all of the fruit trees except the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. For God said, "You must not eat or even touch it. If you do, you will die."
No, that can't be.
"You won't die," said the serpent. "God knows that as soon as you eat it, you will be like God, knowing both good and evil."
Oh.
The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious, and she wanted the wisdom it would give her. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to Adam, and he ate it too. At that moment, their eyes were opened,
Oh, no.
and they suddenly realized they weren't wearing clothes and were embarrassed. So they sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. When the cool evening breezes were blowing, Adam and Eve heard God walking about in the garden.
Hide.
So they hid from God among the trees. Then God called to Adam, "Where are you?" Adam said, "I heard you walking in the garden, so I hid. I was afraid because I was naked." "Who told you that you were naked?" God asked. "Did you eat from the tree I told you not to eat from?" Adam said, "It was the woman you gave me who gave me the fruit, and I ate it." Then God asked Eve, "What have you done?" "The serpent tricked me," she replied. "That's why I ate it." Then God punished the serpent by making it so he would crawl on his belly from then on. He told Eve that she would have great pain in her life. Then God said to Adam that because he listened to Eve and did not obey what God had told him to do, his life would be very difficult. He would have to work hard to get food to eat, God said, "For you were made from dust, and to dust you will return." Then God made them clothing from the animals. But God knew that Adam and Eve could no longer live in the garden because of their sin, so he sent them away and closed up the garden.
Today, our craft, we are going to make a magnet. You'll want to get in your box, pick out week of October 11th. There, you're going to find a memory verse. We're going to do a memory verse. And it's on this little white paper. It's going to be real hard to see, so you're going to have to look real hard. And you're going to see the words, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." And that's from Romans 3:23. So you're going to see that. So get out your colored pencils. And I kind of started this one. You're going to color in the words. And you can use any color you want, make it colorful, or use all the same color, however you want to do. So then after you get all your words colored in that you can actually see your memory verse, you're going to take out your little card here, and you're going to find a strange little strip of little black triangles. So lay down, put your white paper with your memory verse, and kind of center it on your construction paper. Take your little triangles, and you might have to have mom or dad help you with this. And take one, I'll put a couple of them on here for you so you can see what I'm doing with them. I'm going to put them on all four corners, and that's going to hold. See how that holds it now? So if you put it right up here in this corner and this corner, and we'll put it in the bottom corners too. And you might have an extra one left over if you want to put it in the middle, whatever. And like I said, all your words would be colored in. So you're going to see your memory verse. Now, in your box, you're going to find a little photo. And this is a magnet. So take out the paper with the happy kids on it. And you're going to slip in your paper. And if it doesn't quite fit or whatever, trim it to size. And have mom or dad help you slide it in there. Like that. And you would see all your memory verse. You'd see all the words. It looks like my little corner fell off, but that's okay. Then take it to your refrigerator or something that's metal, and you'll be able to hang it up. And this we would like you to try to memorize this week. And that is your craft for this week, a memory verse.
Believe it or not, we've come to the end of this week's edition of the Weekly Bridge. And I'm so glad you joined me as we learned how sin entered the world. We learned Adam and Eve sinned when they ate fruit from a tree God told them not to touch. And we learned that each one of us sins when we do things God has told us not to do. God always punishes us when we sin. Sin makes God unhappy, and sin hurts us as well. But the good news is God provided someone very special who was willing to take our punishment for us. Do you know that person's name? That's right. His name is Jesus. Jesus died on a cross so our sins could be forgiven. We call that the good news. And believe me, I think it's good news. There is a way for God to not punish me when I sin. When you want something your mother or dad has, what are you supposed to do? Well, that's right. You're simply supposed to ask. You ask someone if they have something you want in order to get it. Now, if you want God to forgive you for what you've done wrong, all you have to do is ask. And when you ask God to forgive you for your sins, He lets Jesus take your punishment for you. I have to ask, have you ever offered to take someone's punishment for them? Me neither. And as much as I like you, Carter, well, if you get in trouble, Carter, I'm not going to go into timeout for you. By the way, I'm sorry about that, but I just don't like timeouts. But listen, Jesus was willing to take your punishment because He loves you that much. Wow, that just makes me love Jesus all the more to know that. Well, listen, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Weekly Bridge. I'm sad to see you go, but don't forget, you can join me next week for more music, more Bible stories, more crafts, and more fun. And so until next week, have a great week. We'll see you later. Goodbye.